You know the expression, up the creek without a paddle? Well, similarly, we are on the ocean with a broken steering. We're at risk from the elements with rocks, waves and tides. Storms are rolling in and we're 50 miles from home. So kick up your shoes, come join us for this adventure and see how this drama unfolds and how Portofino solves this global problem that all sailors face.
Okay guys, so we are going to share with you a story today that shows why emergency steering systems are so important.
Yeah guys, so a few years ago we were enjoying a beautiful week in the Whitsunday Islands, and the storms were coming in, the weather was turning bad, so it was time for us to leave. We're about 50 miles away from home, so we needed to get cracking, and just as we were leaving our beautiful anchorage, the steering system completely went on us. So what happened next?
So of course we couldn't steer at all, and so we had to set up the emergency steering system. And the other problem we faced was that a storm front was coming with winds of 25 to 30 knots. So things were looking a bit grim. Now the thing is, when your steering goes, you can still steer the boat in a catamaran with your engines, because you've got two engines, and we immediately got control back by using the engines, manipulating the boat into the right direction, and then we had time to set up the emergency steering and set the sails. Okay, so now, like most boats, the emergency tiller on our boat, Alberdash, was a metal pole which you attach to the rudder post in the transom. But of course, the problem with that is that down in the transom compartment, you have no visibility of the sails, the instruments, or the sea state. So you have to take directions from somebody upstairs in the helm position. So what did we do? So
John climbed down into the engine compartment and trying to manually steer with the rudder arm, while I stayed up at the helm, and I was yelling at him, go left, no, go right, too much, no, we've gone too far. And it was really stressful. And it went on for hours, and really there's no option. That's what you've got to do, because you have no visibility when you're down in the transom, either on the transom or, as I was, actually in the transom compartment. And it was like parking a truck but yelling up the directions to someone down a manhole. It was ridiculous. When we finally limped back into port, we were exhausted and we were soaking wet, and we knew there had to be a better system. If we had been further out to sea, or if we'd been in a tight channel, or if the weather had been a lot rougher, we would have had serious risk. So out of this experience, we knew there had to be a better system designed, one with flexibility, redundancy, and practical ease of use. So when you're offshore, the steering system should not be the weak point of your boat that risks failure. So let's see how Portofino has solved this global problem. Over to Rafa.
So here we have a general diagram of the system. Then basically is two independent systems merged together. So we have a very traditional hydraulic pump connected to the steering wheel, then operate directly the two steering pistons, the rudder pistons, without any power and without the help of any electronics or with nothing involved in this circuit. This we consider the backup system, and is complete independent. In the other side, we have one encoder. What is the encoder? The encoder is one sensor that transmits an electric signal to this system about the position of the steering wheel. So when I move the steering, this sensor informs the brain of the system, then operate the autopilot pump. So the new concept of this system is that the autopilot pump can be operated by the autopilot when you push the button navigation. So the autopilot in that case will take over, like in any other steering system. But when you don't push an autopilot on, you put autopilot in standby, it's like if you have another autopilot, but then take order from this encoder. So every time you move the steering wheel, the two rudders, they will move according with. In this way, you have a very sensitive steering, because it's helped by the autopilot pump, that is a big pump and very powerful. And you have the sensibility adjustable by this touch screen steering system. So in the engine room, you have your touch screen. You can enter in the software and you can adjust. Similar what you do with the autopilot setup, the sensibility, the waves, the weather. Here you have some setup for the manual steering. For example, every 10 degree of wheel, I would like to have 5 degree of rudder, or 4 degree, or 6 degree, or whatever. From here I can set up. So when I move the steering wheel, the rudder move faster or slower, as I like to steering my boat. If I'm relaxed, I don't want a super sensitive steering, I can reduce the sensibility. If I want to catch the wind and have a very, very prompt steering, then when you touch the steering wheel, immediately you get a prompt action from there. I need just to increase the setup from here. So in this way, we have the total redundancy, because as you can see, this is the hydraulic pump connected to in independent circuit connected to the steering piston. The steering piston are 2 pistons. And here we have all the valve to insulate. Why I put this box? Because in this box we have all the valve even to insulate one piston if I have an oil leak from here. So I can use only one rudder in case of emergency. So here we have 2 complete independent systems. Here we have 2 complete independent systems. So I have 2 entire complete independent steering system. And I don't have to connect any steering tiller on the like in many boats you have, because these 2 systems, they can help each other. In case of failure of one, the other one. The last thing is then to keep in standby this pump, we have here one valve, then close the circuit when the electronic system take over. So when we take over from here, we make like a shortcut here, then because this pump always moving, the mechanical pump. But what I do, I have here one electric valve, then to be activated need power. So if I lose power, will not be activated. That is very important. No, in case of blackout, this valve is off. This valve will be activated by the power of the system. If I lose the power, the valve is off.
And if you lose power, you also have steering because this is mechanical.
Absolutely. But in case I need to use the system, this valve needs to be off, open, because this valve will cut off the system and will make a closed circulation here. This pump will be connected to the shaft here. So I need this valve. Otherwise, when I steering both systems, then it's not correct. This electric valve is piloted automatically from this system. Failure of this pump, the valve will not operate. Will not open the circuit, and this one is already.
So guys, there are so many exciting things coming up, especially being towards the end of our build. This is the most exciting part. We don't want you to miss out on anything, so subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss out when a new episode comes out, and also the like button. That'd be really cool too. Stay tuned, guys.
And back to the video.
So this is one system, this is another system. You have the liability of the fishing boat, then have to steering for 30 years without problem. And you have the sensibility of the, let's say, cable steering. We want to say cable steering, then it's more prompt. But with the benefit to adjust the sensibility as you like. The last important thing, this side of the system is provided by Marsili. 50 years is a family company in Italy with 50 years of hydraulic steering experience. They provide steering system for a major brand of yacht, but they don't provide electronic steering. This system is made by a partner company called Arvigo. They make all the steering system for Fincantieri on the military ship, and they have just downsized. The same concept is used in the ship. Together, we downsize that system. We try to make it compact in one PLC with a touchscreen monitor that manage all of this. Because this system in the ship is one cabinet 3 meters by 2. To make it possible, we just downsize the concept and the technology of used in the ship. But the two companies, Arvigo and Marsili, they have over 50 years experience in electronic steering and in hydraulic steering. And they are partners since a long time. Now we are 3 partners because we asked them to provide the system by the downsizing of the shipping system. I met them together in the exhibition in Amsterdam in the Met 3 years ago. So I catch both of them in one time. I say, guys, your system is amazing, but we need something smaller because this is too big for our boat. And they agree, when after a long discussion, they agreed, and potentially there is a big market for this. In the market of the catamaran from 50 feet above, we manage to have a system then that little bit more is much more justified than anything else because you have an amazing system in terms of comfort and safety. Here, it's important to say that the emergency tiller is on the wheelhouse. From the same steering wheel, you have 2 systems connected to the same steering wheel. It will change because the sensibility will be completely different. In this way, you have a fishing boat steering. But you have a steering. Yeah. Each hose have a valve here in this connection block, and I can insulate any of this hose. Anyone is leaking, including the piston, I can insulate from here. If I have a leak from the shaft of the piston, I close this piston. I have here one bypass valve. Then I close this, and this will bypass to the other. So you have always, here we have a lot of valves. You will see when it's installed, you have a lot of hydraulic valves because we want to keep all the possibility. In any case, everywhere you have a leak, you can insulate that area and you can work with something else. When I explained to Rina, to Andrea D'Amato, the engineer that follow our boat, how this system is working, he said, you don't need a manual tiller. This is much more safe than the manual tiller. To add just one little cherry on the cake, I can tell you something else. There is another pump. In case of failure, we have another one. It's the pump of the keel. This pump is connected with an emergency line to this. So if I have a failure of the autopilot pump, then it is not a standard pump, it's an heavy-duty pump, really heavy-duty pump. So I have a failure here, I have 2 valves here, I need only to open these 2 valves and one switch to operate this pump instead of this. So you have 2 hydraulic pumps.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm really impressed with that. I mean, this is what puts Portofino way above the standard. To have this redundancy system with the steering wheel and the hydraulics, and also then a secondary, well, a third thing to back that up. I mean,
blows your mind.
It just is amazing. And this system has been working for some time in the bigger ships. And that's what Raphael seems to do. He seems to be able to take what works really well in the big ships and manages to condense it down so it's functional to you and I to have on our boat. So this is just amazing stuff, and I shouldn't be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised at all, but it just blows me away. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and thanks to our awesome Patreons whose money helps us save lives around the world. Please make sure you subscribe and ding the bell so you don't miss out on any of the exciting upcoming episodes. Hold on to your dreams because like the wind in the sails, they propel you towards endless possibilities.